Hey guys, it's late in the evening. I've actually never done a video this late at night before. But I just got finished watching the movie Love and Mercy. It's about the Brian Wilson, the lead for the Beach Boys. Just very sad, man. And it just reflects on the state of the world in this world that we find ourselves in. Is extremely unnatural, extremely sad. You know, he was a musical genius and suffered. His father, him and his four brothers, or four brothers, I think it was, are the formed the Beach Boys. Under his father, who they later fired. But his father was extremely abusive and narcissistic, physically, emotionally, mentally. And their mother, checked out. She was an alcoholic, just probably because she couldn't stop the guy from doing what he was doing. So she was an alcoholic and didn't defend them at all. So the rest of his brothers supposedly turned out okay, normal. But Brian was extremely sensitive. He was the most sensitive out of all of them, and so, he took the brunt of it. The symptoms of living in unnatural, toxic environments physically manifested in him. It's just extremely sad because what it is in this world, it's these hateful, narcissistic, selfish abusers that seem to be in control of these extremely sensitive types of people. I talk against celebrity all the time. I talk against watching movies all the time. But just to bring some examples up, the Jackson Five, their father was extremely abusive. Britney Spears, that girl from iCarly, I can't remember her name, the blonde-haired girl from iCarly, who wrote the book I'm Glad My Mother Died, or I'm Happy My Mother Died, and on 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 and on. Either these children, and see, sensitive types are usually artistic. Not all the time, but the majority of the time, I would say, are artistic types. And a lot of them are musical geniuses. I think what they're doing is they're just tapping into that, whatever that is out there, that holds all of the magic, right? We'll call it magic, but that presents itself in the physical realm as music and art and theater and things of that nature. I think we can all tap into those things. It's just we are so hardened through our survival modes that that most of us don't have access to them because we've shut that part of ourselves off as a defense mechanism for survival. These narcissistic abusers, like I had as a mother, Jen had as a mother, and then I didn't have a father there to protect me. My stepfather was there for a few years. He tried to protect us, and then he couldn't deal with her abuse and her craziness, so he had to leave, and then our protection was gone. And I ran away at 12 and took my brother with me. It was so bad. I mean, it was horrible. And then, of course, Jen, had her mother there, but her mother would manage a bar at night and leave her alone with a 40-year-old ex-pimp that was her mom's boyfriend, who physically, mentally, emotionally abused her. And so then, when she tried to say something as a young child and as a young teenager, she was gaslit and told, well, no, that's just you. You need to stop saying this crazy stuff. And so, we try to get help. We reach out for help. I reached out to pastors. I reached out and told the truth. I reached out to people and got nothing but shamed and guilted. And so, the state of affairs we find ourselves in is a very sad, completely unnatural, non-conducive to biological life or what our soul actually is and who we are, our essence. It's non-conducive. These systems that we live under. These narcissists. It appears to be that these narcissists suffered abuse or abuse in some way, or if they didn't suffer straight out abuse, just that they were in tune with the fact that the way things are is not right, and it hurt them deeply, but like their survival mechanism would not allow them to express it outwardly. So instead they built up this character of and so they project that hate and that pain and that suffering that they have inside of them outwards onto their children a lot of times, if not everybody else around them, in order to, that's their coping mechanism. These things, guys, we need to stop the insanity. We have to stop bringing children into this world when we've been abused. I mean, that's what we're doing. Look what I did to my kids. I wasn't there for my son, for that time that he was living with his mom. When I was going through my mental breakdown and my emotional breakdown and my complete, life breakdown after my first divorce, and he moved in with my wife and my ex-wife, his mother, and she abused him. And then the times that, he would go visit her when he was younger, and she would abuse him while he was there. But because I was so hurt and in my own thing, I couldn't be that protector of my own son. And then even even worse, my daughter, who lived with her, and suffered years and years and years of abuse and is so trauma bonded now. That's all she knows is that trauma bond. And then my youngest son, is trauma bonded to his mother because I couldn't properly rescue him. And I couldn't be the proper father because I was so focused on myself and just numbing my pain with alcohol and with drugs and with having a good time and with distraction and not facing my shit. And I brought kids into this world, so that, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying it's all of us. It's our situation that we find ourselves in. Except for people like Brian Wilson, who never hurt a soul, who was so hurt and in pain and just, and just suffered his whole life. And I mean, it just blows my mind, man. Like, these biological avatars that we inhabit are so unbelievable in their advanced technology that they can't even replicate the human biology today. It's impossible. And we're renewing, like we're literally a new person Every year, just biologically, our cells are dying off and renewing. We have brand new organs and everything. If we literally just got out of our way and quit poisoning ourselves, our bodies would renew, and in within a year, 2 years, we'd be a brand new person. If and then our soul being such a strong-willed part of who we are and what we are, to suffer unimaginable gaslighting and abuse, and whether that's physical or passive aggressive, or just the lying, just the lies and the manipulations and the illusions that we live under is so unnatural to our brains. That's why our soul, until we do this healing, our soul, it does not is not in the driver's seat of this avatar, guys. It is our ego. Our ego is a survival character, and that is the character that will do anything to survive in this, and is scared to death to die. Our soul is not afraid for this physical body to die. The soul is afraid of the trauma and abuse that gets that gets put on it. And that's why, when this trauma and abuse gets put on us, all of us, as children, as babies born into these sick, toxic environments unnaturally, for reasons that are completely selfish of our parents, of young children that are in adult bodies making adult decisions, bringing more lives into this world, when they're unhealed children in adult bodies that are completely emotionally unstable, mentally unstable. And the only reason they do this is because that's how the whole matrix system is set up, for us not even to question and look at these things and use our common sense and our critical thinking in it, because it's so easy when you clear out all the fog and all the muck and all the breads and circuses and all the distraction, all the excuses and all the justifications for everything, and you use personal responsibility, discipline, courage, and honesty, and not afraid and get out of the groupthink and not afraid to think for yourself. Because these things are so simple, guys. Our soul carries on and just knocks throughout our lives. It's that thing that knocks and says, come on, wake up, stop with the madness, stop with the insanity, stop killing this physical avatar, stop killing yourself. The soul is not afraid for this physical body to die. It's like the soul knows that it's responsible to properly take care of this physical avatar. Like, that's its job. In this manifestation of this physical reality, the soul's job is to physically take care of this avatar. And when we got brought into this existence under these cruel and unusual and unnatural and inorganic and completely structured narratives, abusive, toxic environments and social structures and cultural structures that have nothing to do with what our purpose would be here for, and strips us away from what it means for us to be responsible, and instead strips us of our birthright of being completely, innately whole at birth, with all the knowledge, everything we need. All we needed was a safe space from our parents to nurture this physical body for probably not that long either, probably for just a few years, until it was able and blossom. I mean, without all the abuse and the trauma of these environments and these social structures, and having to, abusively learn how to intake poisons into our mouths and have to take those poisons in 3 times a day, and then and like your survival character is going, no, I don't want this, and the parent just gets mad, and guys, that you gotta understand that's how the brain works. When you go through that kind of trauma that's unnatural to the biological system, it creates an alter. It creates the ego. It creates a character, a survival mechanism. Your soul gets kicked to the back seat. If you guys haven't watched my videos on all my playlists on the Richard Swink channel, go through my playlists on parenting, on mental disorders, on how they control you. I have playlists set up that explain in depth how these control mechanisms are put in place. And it's so easy. I'm not teaching. We know this. What I'm doing is I'm opening it. I'm telling you with open arms, I'm accepting you, and I'm telling you it's okay. Everything's okay. You're not going crazy. You're not the only one who is having problems keeping up with this system. This system is going full speed ahead, guys, and it is crushing people and just crushing them and spitting them out the back. This system is all about survival and dog eat dog and pulling you away from your humanity, pulling you away from what it means to be human, separating your physical avatar from the soul and just kicking your soul way in the back, and building that ego, building that ego, building that ego, building that ego. It's completely unnatural. It's completely against everything that we were here for, that we are naturally, innately born with. You know, we put each other down for not being able to keep up, for not, there's expectations. Well, get good grades in school. When you come out of school, you should probably go to college. If not, you should probably join the military. If not, one of those two things. And then, it's just expectations. Okay, well, you're going to have to own a house, or you're going to have kids. You're going to have a wife. You're going to have a husband. You're going to have to be stable. You're going to want to own nice things in a car. You're going to want to be able to take care of it. You're going to want to be, it's unreal. All of that shit is completely unnatural, guys. This is craziness. This is lunacy. This is insanity. We wonder why mental illness, guys, between the ELF RF signals that we are constantly bombarded with, that are always here, that most people can't hear, except for the very sensitive people who they call schizophrenic, except for the very sensitive people who end up with mental disorders. We are all getting it. But the reason we we're not all outwardly showing how hurt we are is because, again, this goes back to when I was telling Jennifer's story. How, humanity is like a species that's running from this fucking monster behind it. And you can't show that you're getting tired because the person next to you might see. And everybody's just looking for that one patsy, that one fucking weakling, that as soon as they start complaining or like calling things out for what they are, and why are we running from them? Why don't we all just turn around and face this monster together and defeat it? So what they do is everybody else, because see, this healing is the hardest thing to face. It's the hardest thing to admit that these things are going on, that we have been controlled, that we are all suffering as a species from Stockholm Syndrome, that we are suffering from cognitive dissonance, and that's what we keep running away from, is our cognitive dissonance. So it's like us as a species are all running together, and as soon as one of us shows signs of weakness, or the rest of them just like crabs in a barrel, just throw them in the back and sacrifice them to the monster in order to slow the monster down so they can take a break real quick, or they can say, look, monster, look what we did. And as soon as that monster gets done consuming that person, it comes, and everybody goes, oh shit, and then starts running again. And they look for the next weakling and then throw that one back, and then throw the next one back. And that's what we're doing. We're sacrificing each other, guys. We're literally sacrificing each other. We're clean. Look, the ego clings to this life. The ego, they've got the ego. See, this is the perfect form of enslavement. because they knew how to induce the ego at birth and at a very young age, and then feed that ego, right? And keep us in survival. And they taught our parents how to abuse us, and not call it abuse, but parenting, good parenting. This is good parenting. You have to spare the rod. If you spare the rod, you spoil the child. This stupid little retard that you gave birth to needs to, it's your job to teach them how to eat, how to sleep, how to separate from human contact, how to fall in line, how to fall into social norms, how to take tests and pass tests, how to obey the law, and they put all of these things on our parents, and then we become parents and we do the same thing, and we just keep on the hamster wheel of insanity. Guys, this is not right in any way, shape, or form. We are competing one against each other when we're all the same. Guys, we are literally, that's another huge lie they've sold us, is that we're all are different, little different snowflakes. And the only reason they get away with that is because they've separated us into every category imaginable: color, race, religion, sex, music interest, hobbies, work, thousands of different categories of people. And they're like, look, see, what are you trying to say? No, nobody can be their own person and make their own. Those aren't decisions. These are all categories that are cultural and social structures and narratives that came down from the control mechanisms, the matrix, the illusion, to divide us and keep us separated. We humans are either apex predators, or we are extremely empathic beings, electromagnetic light beings that have some other purpose other than what we're living right now on this earth. If we are apex predators, then there would be no kind of relations with anybody. We'd all be complete 100% narcissists, getting what we can in this world and grabbing what we can, and there would be we wouldn't need to justify anything. Everything would go. Everything would be allowed. You could kill your neighbor in order to put yourself a rung up the ladder. You could kill your coworker in order to be the next in line for the promotion. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it's not like that. See, what they've done with these systems, these structures that they've put in place, is they're highly competitive structures, okay? And then they use the money game in the survival game of, telling us that we need to eat 3 times a day, telling us we need a roof overhead, telling us we need a fridge, telling us we need electricity, telling us we need all of these things, right? They've literally water. They make us pay for all of these things. The only thing we're not paying for yet is air, and that's right around the corner. But they put us into these structures that require survival instincts and the ego to be in charge in order to survive. So we're constantly in fight or flight, right? But they know that we care. They know that we don't want to really hurt anybody. They know that so there's laws, and there's morals and ethic codes, right? But it's just enough. You can do whatever you can do to get around things, and as long as it's not against the law, well, he's just smarter than the rest. Oh, he's a better survivor. You know what I mean? Like, none of this, guys, this is not us. We are extremely empathic. We are connected to everything. We are connected to everything else biological in this world. And what they're trying to do, and what they're doing, is they're disconnecting us from our natural state of being, and trying to upload us and connect us into this false reality, into this, technology, into this. And see, the thing is they try to make this technology as crazy advanced as we are, and they can't even come close. All the supercomputers in the world don't even add up to one person's brain. They can't replicate anything in the human body. It's so far advanced, and it's like it's almost like this matrix is so pissed off about that, and that's why it hates humanity so much, because it cannot experience what we experience as deeply as we experience. It's extremely shallow, so it's projecting that shallowness onto us, and thereby, you know, has made these systems of control for us, and using money, this limited thing, that in scarcity, they build us in with scarcity and lack and desire, and because that's what this system feels. This system knows it can't exist. See, we don't need these systems to exist, but these systems need us to exist, and all it takes is for us to quit giving these systems attention, giving them our authority, giving them our consent, giving them our worship, giving them our time, giving them our energy. We pull all that and put it back on ourselves, each one individually, and then that's where our power comes from. But right now, it's an extremely sad state of affairs that humanity finds itself in. I mean, people are getting crushed, committing suicide, being gaslit, being tortured, being passive aggressively. I mean, just the amount of sadness in the whole situation is just unreal. Just like if you were to sit down and admit how bad this is, like how disgusting we treat each other, and how disgusting, like outwardly, we go into the job site, we go into our workplaces, we go into society, into our friend groups, we go into, you know, wherever, go shopping, whatever these things are, wherever we go, you know, and socialize. And we put on this mask, the ego puts on this mask and acts like everything's okay. You know, everything's okay. And when someone wants to talk about, you know, the truth of the matter of man, don't you think these systems are wrong? Don't you think and everybody just laughs and goes, oh, come on, you're just having a hard time. You just need to get through this rough patch. You just need to man up. You just need to quit complaining. You just need to recognize your responsibility in all of this, and quit talking about how your parents abused you. You need to quit talking about your childhood. You got to get over your past. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. All of these gaslighting things, dude, nobody can see, man, other than my son. I don't know anybody who can sit there for 10 minutes and have a deep conversation and take it as far and as deep as it'll go, with no inhibitions and no blocks and no nothing. Otherwise, there's nobody I know physically that can do that. And I've tried. I do that with people, but they can't. They can go only so far, and then you can see when all of a sudden it just switches, and they can't do it. They can't go any further, because in order to go further, it challenges their shaky foundation that they've built their life on, and it can't happen. You know, because the cognitive dissonance kicks in, and they're like, you know, and they got to switch it up. They got to talk about something else, or not talk about it. It just be quiet, or walk away, or, you know, whatever. But they can't continue the conversation at all. And I mean, some people can't go past, you know, the latest gossip about the latest celebrity gossip. They can't go any deeper than that. You know, because they literally have to keep themselves so distracted. They have, especially like my second ex-wife and my first ex-wife, both my ex-wives, they can't have any kind of a deep conversation. Not at all. The only thing they can talk about is like celebrity and fashion and TV shows and music and, you know, these types of things. Because if you try to have a deeper conversation than that with them, they have propagated so much abuse onto their children and onto other people, and through their narcissism, through their refusal to address the issues at hand, and using all of these materials and this physical illusion and distractions and breads and circuses as a band-aid, that they are so sensitive now that they can't even fathom, like they can't, oh God, they hide from it. They literally hide from having any kind of true conversation, because again, guys, I know for a goddamn fact that we as humans are all one and the same. There is not a goddamn difference in any of us. We all are the exact fucking same. We were born whole, innately intelligent, knowledgeable, empathic, compassionate, and connected to everything, or biologically, everything through this physical avatar, biologically connected to everything else biological on this earth. And we have been separated from that. And the only reason we can't all just come back together again and stop this madness and stop this insanity is because we are highly addicted, egotistical survivors. All of us. And this goes even for whoever's out there that did not suffer the weird physical, emotional, aggressive, psychological, spiritual, religious abuse that I suffered, that Jennifer suffered, that Brian Wilson suffered, that the Jackson 5 suffered, Michael Jackson, that all of these people suffered. Just if even these adults now, or even these young adults or children that think, oh, my parents love me, they give me everything I want, they no, you're just by your parents naming, numbering, and cataloging you into slavery systems at birth. Your social security number in your name is a slavery system, guys. And it's that plain and simple. Don't make it any harder than what it is. It's that plain and simple. So right at birth, you got your own parents who were, their only job was to nurture, protect, and give you a safe space to biologically mature. That was their only job. But instead of doing that, they named, numbered, and cataloged you into slavery systems at birth. Not only did they do that, but then they allowed the state to inject heavy heavy metals, toxic, poisonous drugs into your system. Okay? And then they proceeded to teach you how to eat poisons, consume poisons. They put on toxic music and entertainment around you and taught you how to dopamine hit and taught you how to do all these unnatural things. They taught you human separation. Okay? They had to go to work. They left you with strangers. They at night they didn't want you sleeping in the same bed. They would have you sleep over there. All of these different things. There's tons of different examples I can give just as a child. Then they, just as a 0 to 5-year-old, tons of examples that I can give you of the abusive ways, even if you think your parents loved you and cared about you. And no, their only job was to protect, nourish, and provide a safe space. Instead, they sold you out by giving you up to the state, by naming, numbering, and cataloging you into slavery systems, allowing the state to inject heavy metals, toxic, poisonous drugs into your system at birth, and from there on, complying with toxic social standards and social norms, and then teaching you abusively how to intake poisons through your mouth, through your eyes, through your ears, through your skin, all of these things, and then placing you into state indoctrination centers at 5 years old to the time you were 18, and them being the ones in charge to make sure you pass the test, the compliance test, every fucking day that you were there, every week, every month, every year for 12 fucking years, they made sure that you were passing compliance tests, that you were living up to social standards. And then they were showing, when the little bit of time you spent with them when you were home, you, because the state acted as a babysitter, okay, so that way they could go to work. So what they taught you was not only how to be compliant and fall into social toxic social structures and be compliant with the state, whatever the state says, and comply with laws and not think for yourself. But then when you got home, they were showing you what it's like to be a stressed out, mindless minion who's seeking dopamine hits through toxic, poisonous so-called foods and entertainment and distractions and politics and all this nasty, disgusting stuff. So even these kids and these adults who say that their parents love them, they are gaslighting themselves. They're lying to themselves, because deep down, if you take your healing all the way back to birth, deep down, you cannot help but come to the conclusion that all of these systems are completely 100% unnatural to a biological life and non-conducive to the health and well-being of biological humans. Period. It's that simple. So yeah, I mean, I had to get this out, dude. There's so much more to this, obviously, but I think this is the gist of it. It's just unbelievable how, we keep this going, guys. Nobody else. See, this is the perfect system of enslavement, because they kicked us into our ego at birth and then used our parents, even those who think that their parents love them, they used their parents as the jail keeper, as the prison keeper until 5 years old, and then they put them in the state's care for most of the day, where the state was the warden, and then the kid would come home and then the parents would reinforce what the state indoctrination is. And so by the time a child gets to the age of 18, he is so fully indoctrinated and has done nothing but live through ego and his survival character and survival mechanisms his whole life, that he is full on a predator. He's no longer, the soul has taken a backseat his whole life. That ego has built up the perfect survival character for him or her. And so by the time they reach adulthood, with all the expectations of, like I said, well, now it's time to go to college and get another 6 years of indoctrinations, and be even higher on the social scale, and make your parents proud, and make your society proud of you, and become somebody, and oh my God, just the amount of pressure that we put on these children. And then if they don't do that, well, you need to go, support your country and fight these people, fight these poor people all over the earth that are trying to take your freedoms away. Our freedoms, guys, are constantly fucking with our minds and telling us we're free when we're the most jailed things in the world. What freedom is there? We have no freedom. We have the freedom to choose our poison. That is literally our only freedom, is to choose our poison, is what this society is structured to tell us. So once we turn 18 and our parents are no longer our jail keepers, and of course the state is always there as the law to make, to threaten jail and imprisonment and kidnapping and physically holding us down and doing whatever they want with us if we don't constantly if we ever break the law. Ooh, you're in trouble. It's always you. The state can be $30 trillion in debt, but don't you dare owe a $30 parking ticket, or there's going to be late fees on that. You know what I mean? It's so backwards, guys. They got us so confused and so messed up and so fucking bamboozled. It's crazy. It's crazy. And so by the time we're 18, we become our own jailer. We're regulating ourselves. We keep ourselves imprisoned by continuing all these bad habits and ingesting completely toxic, chemically cooked food. Forget the processed shit. Cooked food is a poison. It's poisonous to your body. It's a toxin. Your body treats cooked food as a toxin, period. And then we continue, so by this time, our by the time we're 18, we have found our own dopamine hits. We have found our own coping mechanisms through music, through the entertainment we like, through all of these things that are even a hobby, guys. Even a hobby. It doesn't matter if you're into sports or whatever else and you play sports. That's still just a dopamine. You're doing, that is your drug. We are druggies. Cooked food is a drug. Your body reacts to cooked food just like a heroin addict, just like a crack addict. They've taught us to sit here and point our fingers at the most sensitive of us in society have turned to these drugs and become druggies. And then the rest of us, the other survivors, going, look, monster, look, he's a heroin addict. Look, monster, he's a crack addict. Look, monster, he's a homeless. Look, monster, he didn't finish school. Look, monster, he doesn't even have a job. Look, monster, he's depressed. Look, monster, he's on anti-anxiety meds. Look, monster, he can't fucking function in this world. And we do that because we want the attention off us, because we know when that monster turns its attention on us, we're scared to fucking death because that monster's going to chew us up and spit us out. And the only reason we're afraid of the monster is because it's our ego leading the way. Now that we're adults, we need to fucking take responsibility. We need to fucking take personal responsibility. We need to be disciplined. We need to be courageous, and we need to fucking be honest. And then, that way our soul can take back over this fucking avatar. We can heal, we can fucking renew, we can become whole, we can reclaim our birthright, and we can say no to these stupid ass fucking illusory goddamn structures that we find ourselves surviving under. That we've bamboozled ourselves into thinking that we need in order to survive. We need fucking the grocery store. We need fucking meat. We need fucking entertainment. We need fucking jobs. We need 20,000, 50,000 laws on the books. We need cops. We need the fucking government. We need a fucking military to be in 180 countries throughout the world at every given moment. We need a president. We need a leader. We need experts. It's all horseshit, guys. This is all completely made up bullshit. That is the only reason it exists is to enslave you and to keep you confused and to keep you focused on everything except for yourself. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. What we have billions and billions of children in adult bodies on this earth propagating and perpetuating these systems of abuse because they've never taken the time to heal, because they haven't taken it upon themselves for their children, for their lineage, for themselves, first of all, for those around them, to heal, to detach, to call things for what they are, to think critically, to be courageous, to be disciplined, to take personal responsibility. I think I'm going to end it here. Just, man, be kind to yourself. You can't love, guys, you can't love anybody until you learn how to love yourself. And you can't love yourself if you're purposefully ingesting poisons through your mouth, through your ears, through your eyes, through your nose, through your skin, through your mind. Can't do it. Somebody who loves themselves is not going to purposefully ingest poisons. Those conflict. You can't have both. Either humans are apex predators or they're completely empathic spiritual beings that are completely whole, needing nothing outside of them, and that are organically connected to everything around them. That's organic. It's one or the other. You can't have both. It's a conflict of interest. It's not there. You can't have it. And this goes to my whole thing of people say integrate your ego. Why would you integrate a false character? There's no integrate. They say, well, that's yourself. The reason they say that is because that's the self, that's the false character, the stand-in, the patsy, the straw man that you've been creating and building your whole life as a survivor mechanism in these toxic environments and cultures. It's time to crush and kill that fucking thing, reclaim who we are, our soul, act accordingly, align thoughts, words, and actions, use the faculties of our mind, walk in truth, fact, and reality, quit playing games, quit playing illusions, quit perpetuating, propagating the abuse, the lies, the bullshit, and take care of ourselves. And then we can take care of others. But until we heal, until we detach, we run around. People say they tell their kids they love them, and then their kids hear them 5 minutes around, 5 minutes later turn around and say, I love my new car. Oh, I love this movie. Oh, I love this singer. I love this actor. What do you guys, we're fucking with our own heads. We need to quit playing games. We need to start being real. So, yeah, this is getting me back on track with where I'm going, with how simple things are and how easy they are to understand. You have all the knowledge. You don't need to go on YouTube and research fucking history and conspiracies and the fake moon landings and medical interventions and politics. You don't need to research all this. You can, but they're never-ending rabbit holes. It's all there for you. It's all there to keep you distracted. Anything to keep you from focusing on yourself. Anything from get you to trusting in yourself. Anything to get you from building that confidence in yourself, that trust in yourself, that taking care of yourself, showing you that you love yourself, giving your attention to yourself, worshiping yourself, treating yourself as someone who matters and who's worthy. So I'll end it there. Take care of yourselves, guys, because nobody else will.